Urban Therapy with Sun752, and this is your daily go-getimism number 732 for October 4th, 2016. Tonight, I want to talk to y'all about the black family. Black family has really changed over the years, and the mainstay of any community is the family. So when we're talking about the black community, we have to be talking about the black family. Without the black family in a black community, the community is not a community. You know, because the family is the keystone of the community. It's the foundation of the community. If we don't have families, then we really don't have individuals. We can't have a bunch of individuals just all wild, willy-nilly, but it almost seems like that's the position that we're in nowadays with the black family. Now, tonight I wanted to talk about how we used to be able to identify the families by their head of the household. You know, head of the households. We don't even hear that term as much as we used to. Before cell phones and all of that, before you could talk directly to a person, you had to call the house. And when you called the house, many times, if you were making cold calls, you asked to speak to the head of the house. That normally meant a father in a household where there was a complete nuclear family. And a nuclear family is a family where there's a mother, a father, children. That's a nuclear family. You know, you start getting into extended family when you start adding on other members, like, you know, grandparents and aunts, uncles, cousins, and stuff like that. But as far as the nuclear family has a head of the household. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a man, but that's normally, if in a spousal situation, that's the last name that the household takes on. And speaking of the last name and the household, that's how we used to identify people back in the day. You know, we identified houses and families by the last name. So around my way, we had a variety of names that we knew, well, houses that we knew by name. So we had the Tallies, we had the Corbins, of course we were the McIntyres, we had the Hugheses, we had the Fords, we had the Haskins, I think across the street, we had the Seversons, we had the Fredericks. We had a lot of families. Every household was a family. So when we had a question about anything or anybody, or if the children were acting mischievous or anything like that, and we knew, even if we didn't know the kids by their first name, if we knew their last names, we knew where to go and handle any disputes or any, you know, get any questions answered about anything. So if let's say it was Darren, and Darren's last name was Jackson, we go to the Jackson. Go to the Jackson home. You know, we gonna talk to somebody at the Jackson's home about little Darren, because we saw little Darren bust a window out of somebody's car playing baseball or something like that. Whatever. You know, you would address the family. There was a head of household. Now, I'm not going to say that just because there was a man in the house that the home was complete. Not that I don't believe that, but because I do believe that. I do believe that one of the problems in our community right now is that we don't have enough men in the home. But I mean, what else is new? I mean, we've been knew that. But what I also want to say is that even in households that I knew where there wasn't a man as the head of the household, let's say it was a single mother and she had a bunch of kids, all of the kids were named after her, well, what I mean is that they took on her last name. And even if the kids didn't all have the last names, that was the last name and the name of that household. That's case in point were the Fords. The Fords, there wasn't any male figure at the head of that household. Next door to me were the Haskins. There wasn't a male at the head of that household. But we knew their last name, and since a woman was the head of that household, whether it was the elderly grandmother or whether it was the daughters or the aunts, we knew the name of that household by their last name. Now, are we able to do that today? Nowadays, we don't know our neighbors. You know, many of us live in apartments, or the real problem is that black people just don't interact with each other like we used to. It's not that we were all, super friendly towards each other. We always had neighbors that we didn't like, and neighbors that were too newsy or nitpicky, or, just whatever. That's how it is when you live on a block, when you live on a street, when you live in a community. You're not going to like everybody, but it doesn't mean that everybody can't get along and coexist. We have our problems, but we were able to get past our problems and carve out a little corner of the earth and that we could be comfortable with, which was our home. Nowadays, you be lucky to find people who know even 3 people that live on a block. We don't introduce ourselves to each other. We don't ingratiate ourselves to each other. And when we do, it's not on no good shit. You ever have somebody that moves around the way, and within a month they in and out of everybody's household on that block. And one of the things that's normally consistent is that they're drinkers or they're smokers, or they use drugs, and that's how they get close. So all of those friendships are built on really, really rocky and not a very good, strong foundation. But that's one of the things we have to deal with. It is what it is. But at least they get a chance to know each other. So they have a counterculture of their own. They have a counter community of their own. Like it or lump it, at least they know each other. Now, the question that you have to do, the question that I ask is, do you know any of your neighbors? Do you call any of those households that live on your block? The houses on your block. Or do you know them by their last name? The Muhammads, the Jacksons, whatever. The Rodriguezes, whatever. The way it was back then. And like I said, it was problems back then. A lot of us act like there were no drug problems in the community before crack came out, but that's just a lie. Heroin was before crack, and we still had pills and coke. So yeah, we've always had drug problems in the black community. That didn't come after the crack era. It's just that the crack era really heightened it to levels that we had never seen before, where people that we knew and respected and liked and loved were being strung out. So it is what it is. We got to get back to the point where we know each other, where we trust each other, where we don't hate each other, where we don't dislike each other. And if we don't do that, we don't have half a chance. So stop being afraid of your peoples, man. And as far as I'm concerned, that's really one of the biggest problems. We're afraid of each other. We don't speak to each other. Now, that's not the way it is down south, but up here in the north, over here in the northeast, on the east coast, we see each other in the street. We don't speak to each other. We don't get to know each other. We live right around the way. How many times have you sat next to somebody, or not really sat next to them, but let's say you on your way to work on the train, and you see familiar faces every single day, but do you introduce yourself? Maybe sometimes yes, maybe sometimes no. Do you speak to those people every day? Maybe sometimes yes, maybe sometimes no. But you'll probably notice that one thing that is consistent is that there are more no's than yes. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind, and anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours, and remember, the black family is the foundation and is going to be the savior of the black community. Without the black family, if we don't get the black family back together with the head of households, get these men back up in these households, then we're going to have a very, 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 very growing problem on our road to nowhere. Because if you really think about it, peep game, if we can get the family back together the way that it used to be, we wouldn't be dependent on these politicians to try to save our asses. And really, that's where we are with this. when your family is strong, they're going to push you to greater heights. You don't have to depend on outsiders. No, community is good to depend on. You don't have to depend on the government to take care of you, to feed you, clothe you. When you really think about it, that's ridiculous. You got to depend on the state to feed your family, to put a couple of dollars in your pocket to keep you poor. You can't go to the hospital without, going to see Uncle Sam, man. Come on, man. We can do better than that. And plenty of us are... Alright, I'm not going to get into all that. Listen, tomorrow on the Urban Therapy with Sun Show, we really getting into this whole black thing. It's got to go down. We talk about the whole black don't crack, and we talk about the real reasons black does crack, but it don't break. We use the word hate all the time. Hey haters, all my haters out there, when y'all can kiss my ass and all of that. You ever notice that whenever we talk about our haters, we talk about our own kind? We talking about people with this skin. You ever peep that out? Every time we talk about haters, that's who we talking about. We talking about people who are in our own image. Come on, man, we got to do something about that. That ain't cool. That ain't cool. And we're going to ask ourselves how deep the word hate goes. Because we might say that somebody's just hating on you, and maybe we don't mean hate. But maybe deep down in our psyche, we do mean hate. And I don't mean hate as far as not liking somebody. I mean like self-hate. I don't like who I am. I hate who I am. I hate the fact that I have this black skin. I hate the fact that I'm a black person. I hate the fact that I gotta live this black existence. And when I see other people that look like me, I don't like what I see. Something to think about. Tomorrow, it's going down on Urban Therapy with Sun Show. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Call in number 319-527-6199. Call in number 319-527-6199. Make sure y'all check it out. blogtalkradio.com/sun752. Tomorrow, the 5th of October. Get at us on the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. It's going to be fire. And I'll holler back at y'all, man. Y'all have a good night. Peace, 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 peace.